Now, this is where I imagine recording at. But today, we're going to talk about how I actually record and where I record at, and what goes into making a recording for me. So, I'm going to give you an inside look at my personal process. This is not my actual degree, but I do have a university degree in music. A lot of people don't understand how much dedication and discipline goes into being a musician. The music program is one of the most rigorous fields of study at the university level in California, and it's right up there with physics. And more than half the people who started out the program with me dropped out because they couldn't handle it. But before I even went to college, I spent years practicing and learning on my own. So before I even began to record, when you're talking about time, you have to factor in all the time spent just learning your craft. Music is one of those things that look fun and it looks easy, but the amount of work that actually goes into it is often not really taken into account. And I'm sure that there are other musicians out there who know exactly what I'm talking about. Maybe someone who took piano lessons or whatever, and they spend hours doing it when they could be out playing baseball or whatever. But nope, they're in there practicing their musical craft, so to speak. Like people think you just pick up a guitar or a mic and all of a sudden, ta-da, you're a musician. It just doesn't work that way. So the next thing is this is I do listen to a song several times to get a feel for it before I even think about recording it. I also listen for what all the instruments are that they're using on the recording. Then I listen for what might be buried in the mix to make sure I'm getting everything. And then I try to get an idea of what I would like to do with the song. For me personally, most of the time, I'm pretty faithful to what the original song is. And some people don't do that. I get it. Um, but my feelings about that are, I guess I'm just not going to share that now. But if I do change something about a song, I make sure it's tasteful. And the way I look at it is like, you know, it's one thing to play something differently, that's fine because you choose to, but it's another thing altogether to play something differently because you just don't know how to play it the right way. That's a whole different thing altogether. And so I get it, those are both different things, but when you're recording something the way it's played, that takes a lot of time and energy and research to get it down exactly right. It doesn't just fall into play. And if it's wrong, people will hear it, so it's a different thing. So, in the case of, for example, Iron Butterfly, I changed the key of that song to make the guitar lower. There's other things I wanted to do. I just didn't have the equipment to do exactly everything I wanted to do with that song, but it's fairly close to the original version. Anyway, this stage takes me at least an hour alone, just to listen to the song to know what I want to do with it, at least. Next, I search the internet for sheet music or other formats to help me learn the song. I can learn things by ear, no problem. I mean, I went to college, but I really don't want to reinvent the wheel if I don't have to. My time is limited. So if there's a way to help me get this done, then by all means. So sometimes I find the info I want. I find some really good sheet music, and maybe it's for the exact instrument I want. Maybe I just find the guitar part. That's usually the most common one, or it's all arranged for piano or something. And then but even that will give me information like the beats per minute, etc. The way the original was played. But other than that, sometimes maybe there's a string section in there, and I've got to try to find out if there is someone who's already done the string section, laid it out. So that way, again, I don't have to reinvent the wheel, and it saves me time that way when I'm doing the recording. But if I can't, then it is what it is. I'll just have to make it from scratch. That's how that works. But searching the internet alone takes an hour or two. You have to like look everywhere. You know how searching the internet goes. It doesn't just fall into place. You have to look for things sometimes, and so that takes time. Then I have to find the pedals and effects I plan to use because not all songs utilize the same effects. Again, you could change that or stay true to the actual recording. Usually I try to stay pretty close to the actual recording. Not always, but usually. And straighten out the black electric cords I have, which always end up in jumbled piles. So I have a really small apartment. So right next to me, there's like a jumble of electrical wires for um, powering up guitar pedals and etc. And it gets really hard because they all end up being tangled because like when I'm not doing this, I'm working and doing other stuff. So every second is precious. So untangling everything and finding which power chords go to which guitar pedal because they're different takes about an hour just to get that set up. Um, just depending on what pedals are required for which songs. Then I practice learning and playing the song. And on top of all those instruments, so it may say, for example, I'm practicing for guitar, but there's a piano part in there. Then I'll have to practice a piano part too. Then there's the bass line or other instrumentation that might be in it. So all that stuff takes time. And if you're going to record faithfully all the instruments, that all takes time to learn how to play each song. It just you don't just look at it and automatically know it. It takes time to learn a song, well, at least the right way. So it takes maybe another 2 hours or so on average, and I'm being kind, just to learn each instrumentation, like whether it's guitar, bass, keyboards, what have you. So that takes a couple hours. Then comes programming the drum set. I don't play the drums. Well, I do play drums, but not in my apartment. There's just no room for them. So this is a very tedious process because what I do is I program them into a drum machine, and it's not like I push a button on a program and voila, ding, your order's up, and the complete drum recording pops up. Right? What I do is I manually, painstakingly look for the drums, what information I can find on the internet about what they're doing, and then every single measure of drums gets laid out note by note for the entire song, and that takes a good couple hours or more doing that. Next comes the recording. Now, some people get recordings done all in the first take, and good for them, but that's not me. It's a very frustrating and stressful process. Even something that you think is simple, then you end up making a mistake on it. You're like, not again. So it takes a while to get the whole thing, each part right. Now, it'd be one thing if you're just recording for guitar. Even that could be stressful. But like if you're playing all the instruments and everything else, that just takes a ton of time, and it's very stressful if you make a mistake. On average, recording takes me about 20 hours to record and mix everything, right? Especially like the Rain song. That took me a month to do that. There's so much stuff in there. It doesn't sound like it, but it's complicated. So this is what I record on. This is an old Boss BR865 digital recorder. Sometimes the memory card in there gets busy and the whole thing freezes up. And a lot of times that happens halfway through recording a song. So when that happens, let's say I recorded 2 guitar parts, vocals, and a bass, and I'm about to do the keyboards, and nope, forget it. The song died halfway through. Then I have to basically all that work is just gone. Then I have to start from scratch and start recording all over again. Matter of fact, that's happened to me on a few songs. I was going to add vocals. I get a chance to, so I just had to put out whatever I had left on the recording, just so I didn't waste all that time. Because what happens is, if I'm working on a song, there's all these other things I'm working on at the same time. Maybe I'm making a video about an informational video I'm going to use on one of my live streams, or I have to write a script, and all that stuff takes time. So, and then there's other songs I want to do. I don't want to be married to one song forever. So what happens is I just cut my losses, put out what I got, and move on to the next thing. Now, if I had all the time in the world and I wasn't working 40 hours a week, then yeah, I'd probably go back and fix it. But it is what it is. Then I use this thing to turn the file into a digital recorder, or from the digital recorder, and make it into an MP3 file so I can add it into iMovie. And on average, I have to do this several times to get the right sound the way I want it, because what sounds through the headphones might not be how it sounds on the computer, etc. So that takes me a few times. So that alone's 30 minutes. And then when it comes to making a video, that takes me about 10 hours, I say, because I'm pretty picky and I want it to make sure it comes across, fairly smoothly. So I have to find images. So I'll get an idea in my head, then I'll look for images that reflect that. And then, so that takes me a while. Sometimes I don't have an image if it's something really abstract, right? an idea like an emotion, like anger or jealousy or whatever, right? Love, whatever the emotion is, and then I'll try to find a way to describe that through visual, uh, pictures and stuff like that. It's not always easy. So sometimes something will come to me like, oh yeah, let's do it like that. Like the other day on one of the videos, I was trying to show how these ideas um, like inspiration or art or music ideas come to people through a stream, and I typed it in like that, and nothing came up, and so I thought, oh, okay, maybe a little toy boat, and it has the word of each thing, and then that way, through a visual video, it would describe what I was thinking of. But you have to be kind of creative and find ways to describe what you're doing. A lot of movies are actually like that, and a video is sort of like a mini movie in the sense that like you're working with a visual medium, and so you have to tell a story through visual things. Like for example, in movies, sometimes if someone's like they want to show in the movie without dialogue that somebody's missing someone that died in a fire or whatever. Part of the way they could do that is show the person looking at like an old photograph of the person that died in the fire or whatever, and that through that visual, you it still tells the story that you're trying to portray. So I do that. It takes time to do all that, and then I post the finished work. Now keep in mind I'm doing this while I'm working 40 hours a week and take other care of other things in my life. Then it takes me time to make the videos we watch, like not just the music video, but other videos and projects I'm working on. And it takes time to think of original ideas. It's one thing to just to copy someone, but it's another thing to come up with your own original ideas and try to write original scripts for everyone to read. Those scripts take at least a few hours to write each one. That's why I mean I like to have fun with them, but that's why I hope people you know that they'll participate and enjoy participating in those scripts, because that's why I do is for us all to have fun doing it together. But they take time. So all this stuff takes time, everything I do. So for example, I'm working 40 hours a week. So these recordings can take hours and hours and hours. But if I do that, then it's harder to get to writing a script because those take hours and hours and hours. But if I do that, then maybe I don't make a video that week for the live stream, and all that stuff just adds up. And so you can only slice up a Snickers bar so many ways. There's only so many ways you can cut up a pizza, etc. You know. So at the end of the day, that's what happens. And I live in a little tiny place, and when I'm recording, um, it's like I'm basically using my computer to load stuff onto. And sometimes if I'm looking at sheet music, then I like use that so I can look at the sheet music while I'm recording it, etc. And I'm sitting in my office chair slash gaming chair, whatever it is, while I'm working, and with this jumble of guitar chords right next to me. And while I'm sitting here, my bed is like inches from the back of the chair. So it's like you got to squeeze in this little tiny space with this little tiny amount of time, and that's what I do. Oh, I almost forgot. The last step in my recording process is I make a video like this where I basically whine and complain about all the stuff it takes me to do to make the recording. All right, hope you guys like that.